Hello and welcome to Clickbait. I am Matt and this is a box of old, possibly broken cameras. Exciting, huh? Now you might know me from Furious Driving, where I witter on about old, probably broken cars. And an offshoot of Furious Driving is Furious Tea-Break. And on Tea-Break we had a little thing on there called Junk in the Trunk, where people sent me just stuff to talk about. A bit like the gallery on Take Art, if you're old enough and British enough to remember that. And a little while ago, in fact embarrassingly long ago, I'm very sorry guys who sent this over to me, John and I think it was Susie, I should have done something with this a lot sooner. When I started talking about cameras on this channel, a couple of my lovely viewers sent me some old broken cameras and said if you can do anything with them, do something with them. And well, today I'm going to open this box up. I've put them in a box to make it easy to look after them. And we saw what those cameras were back in that Junk in the Trunk episode, but we never really saw if they worked. So I've been and collected a lot of obscure batteries, so hopefully some of them will be the right fit for some of these, and we can see if they'll be working well enough to go off in some future videos and take some photos. So what have we got? So we'll start off eeny meeny miny with this one. This is a Lomo Zenith, a Minotaur 1 with an f2.8 32mm lens. And it's quite an unusual little arrangement because you've got the viewfinder stacked above the lens and they're both open and close with a slider underneath the lens, which is pretty interesting. And then on the side of it we've got a focusing scale, so manual zone focusing from infinity down to 1.5 down to 0.8. I'm assuming that's meters probably. And on the other side we've got an aperture scale, so you can choose your aperture and your focus, so a fairly high degree of control. Question is, does it work? So if I open this thing up, let's see. No. The shutter. No. To fire. Now I don't know if that's because there's no film in it and it's in some way clever enough to detect that, but looking around here there don't appear to be any actual sensors of any kind. I can see a little bit of a twitch. Almost a twitch. And also it won't stop winding on. And the other thing I've just noticed is lots and lots of fluff along the back edge around the light seal. The light seal is gone. So I think, unfortunately, the Lomo Zenith Minotaur 1, I don't think that's coming back without a fair degree of work. That's going to need new light seals and it's going to want the shutter, well, working over, or possibly just taking apart and lubricating. Now I have a favourite camera repair guy, but he charges like £50 or so to do a quick service on a camera like this, so I had to factor in the cost of that compared to what it's worth to see if that's worth doing or not. But I suspect the Lomo Zenith probably isn't going to be a fixer. Okay, what else do we have in here? So second up, eeny meeny miny, we've got this is a Minolta Himatic GF. Now I'm a big fan of Minoltas, they're really good quality cameras. They were consumed by Sony some time ago, so now you can't buy a Minolta anymore, but you can still find an old one. So this has got a 38mm f1.4 lens of 46mm focal length. It's also got a built-in flash which rockets up excitingly. Ooh. Exciting, as I say. Now what battery does this require? It wants two 1.5 volt of an undeterminate size and shape, which I haven't got. Oh, I thought I had everything here. I thought I got all the right batteries for this little endeavour. Do you know, I think it might just be double A's. Hang on, if it's double A's we're laughing. No, yeah, yes, I think it is. Oh, I can hear the flash winding up already. Oh, I think we've got ourselves a winner here. I can hear stuff clinking in there as well. Question is, does the shutter fire? Yes it does. Don't know if that catches on camera or not, but we've got a wind on, we've got a shutter, we've got the zone focusing from infinity to close up-ish, and we've got a flash. Ooh, So that means this one needs nothing. This one can be pressed into service straight away. We can go and start taking photos on a Minolta Hi-Matic GF. Well, that's super exciting. So one no, one yes. 50-50 so far. What next shall we look at? There's a couple of, well, we've got a second Minolta, might as well look at the second Minolta. So this is a Minolta Hi-Matic E, so also from the Hi-Matic range, but this one feels significantly more substantial, whereas this one is like an all plastic body. This is an all metal body, and it's even got a lens cap and a filter, so someone's taken this one quite seriously. It's got electro control, so it's really into kind of house music from the early 80s. It's got an ASA ring on the lens, so from 25 up to 500. I'm guessing it's not got DX on it at all. It's got a focusing ring on the lens, which is a traditional place for it. It doesn't appear to have any exposure control, but it has got an auto manual switch on the back for flash and a flash hot shoe. It needs an unusual kind of battery, and I've got this one, which is a CR1/3N, which I'm hoping is going to be what we need. Now these are kind of weird, these CR1s, because the flat end is the plus end, which is very odd. So does this now spring into any kind of life? Oh, I'd love this one to work. This one feels such a good camera if it worked. But no, it's not alive. It's not alive. It doesn't want... the batteries look like they're in properly, but it does not want to come to life. I'm getting nothing from it. That is such a shame. This one, though, might be worth spending the 50 quid on sorting out on, though, because it might come back to life with, you know, appropriate little bits of fixing. And £50 isn't a huge amount if the camera does actually work. So I'll take those out so they don't flatten themselves in case it shorts out or something silly. So there's one more in the box from Susie, and this is a very exciting camera. And this is a Minox 35GL. And I've got to admit, I've kind of always wanted a Minox because they're such cool cameras. It's a bit like the Rollies and these kind of things, these high-end compact cameras from 35mm age. Now this is a fold-out thing, so you fold the thing forward and it pushes the lens out with it, like an old folding camera, so it makes it more compact when you're not using it. And you've got a focusing ring on the front, which is very light indeed. Behind that you've got an aperture ring, which is a bit wider, but also very, very light indeed. And you wind it on by pulling a little knurled thumb wheel around the corner of the camera. And it seems to take two to do it. Now, does the shutter actually click, or is this an electronic shutter on this one as well? Now on the bottom we've got more controls. We've got the ISO dial on there. The battery compartment is here on the front next to the viewfinder. Oh my word, what the heck is this? So this takes two of those CR1 type batteries, which I'm assuming are going to be very flat indeed. I thought it was a long thin battery. I'd never seen the like of before. That's a lot of battery going in there. Okay, you join me a few minutes later. Things not going well with the Minox. The cover of the battery cover came off when I was trying to screw it in, but the metallic part from the inside has stayed there with the new battery, so in theory that should be working. I can wind it on and I can shoot the shutter, but the shutter stays open. I don't know if you can see that through this, but yes, the shutter has remained open until you start winding on again, so possibly it needs fresh grease, and it's another one that needs servicing. This one though, I suspect is probably worth spending the 50 quid on and getting it serviced, because a Minox is worth a few pounds at the very least. This is the problem with sort of precise 40-year-old equipment like this. This is a camera I actually spent money on a little while ago. This is a little Rolly 35 LED, which will be coming up in a future video at some point, but only once I've had this one serviced, because even though I spent money in a shop, it worked for one roll of film and then it jammed. So it then needs all to come apart and be looked at by my servicing guru again. Yeah, sadly Minox not running either. So it's 3-to-1 in terms of functioning cameras at the moment. final one. This is potentially the most likely to work because this is a Zorky. Now Zorky is a Russian camera which is a bit like a rip-off of an old Leica, but not quite. It's got, I think it's an M42 screw mount lens, but I don't think this is an M42. I think this is actually a 39. I can bustle off and check this because this is M42. This is my old Chinon CX. This is my old Chinon CX, which does take M42, and that is a bit bigger. That's a 39mm, I think, on a Zorky. It's got a Jupiter 50mm f2, I think it is. Now the question is, does this one work? And if not, why not? Because these things are meant to be basically Russian tanks, aren't they? Oops, there we go. So that unscrews on the bottom. You load your film on the left, it scrolls into the right. The wind-on mechanism all seems to work. It's all made of metal inside there. That's really interesting. Made in the USSR, so that dates it as being pretty old. But the shutter does not want to fire. We've got controls on top for shutter speed, and I think it's ISO. That doesn't want to turn though. Got a self-timer on there. That works at least, even if nothing else does. It's clockwork. Now I felt something move then, but the shutter is never quite cocking. That's a shame. There is a lock on the shutter dial as well, so you can lock yourself out of it and not push it, but even with it apparently unlocked, it doesn't want to play. Oh, that's a real shame. No, that is a pity. I did think of all the cameras, if anything was going to be working, it was going to be this thing, because they are pretty much bulletproof. I mean, literally, you could probably actually shoot at this thing and it would still be fine. But no, it does not want to just roll it once. It never latches. There must be some little latch or interlock inside there that's broken. Oh, there's your ISO down there. Oh, is this the self-timer? That's how long the self-timer goes on for. How curious. That's resetting the timer, but it doesn't. Oh, it doesn't work. That is a pity. That camera actually came with a few rolls of expired film, which is quite useful, and a Miranda 24mm lens, which I think is PK Pentax mount. I'm not quite sure. Looks a lot like it, but obviously that won't fit on there. But these are the 5 cameras that I thought were going to work, but as it turns out, only one is a contender for taking out and running a roll of film through. But as we're starting December at the moment, it's the beginning of the annual shitty camera challenge, when you've got to be using an old cheap camera to try and shoot something amazing and then post it on, I think it's on Threads actually. But yes, that's something that would be perfectly suited for. I am kind of disappointed because the two I was most hoping to get out and roll a film through was going to be the Minox, because I was just always wanted a Minox. I remember seeing the adverts for them in like camera magazines and National Geographic and stuff many moons ago. And of course the Zorky, I was really hoping to try this thing. This thing weighs a ton. There's like a kilo of steel or pig iron just there. Unfortunately, it does not want to work. I was also quite hoping to see this Minolta Hi-Matic E, because this feels like an incredibly high quality camera. Obviously it doesn't work, so that does somewhat negate its qualities, but that is a shame. Also the Lomo just looked like a bit of a laugh as well. It's a really heavy little thing. It's got a lot of metal in its construction, so that's a shame. I thought we were going to have a whole bunch of cameras we could be playing with, but we've got one. 1 out of 5 I guess ain't bad. When it comes to old cameras, it's actually not a bad hit rate, because they are fragile things. So thank you so much though to my wonderful viewers John and Susie for sending this box of stuff in. And yeah, well, hopefully I'll get a roll of this thing through before too long and we can see if it's any good or not. So thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed this, please as always hit like and of course subscribe. In the coming weeks and days we've got reviews of classic cameras and modern cameras and some more talking about photography in general, all sorts of things. Please do stick with the channel and hopefully more good stuff will be coming your way soon. Thank you for watching and goodbye.